Well, good day, everybody, and thank you for coming back to the next video. Guys, I'm going to do just a short follow-up video to my recent video I did earlier today that's titled Bible Study, Summary, and Escaping the Tribulation. I want to go back and just revisit quickly a topic I've talked about many times, and I wish I would have brought it up during when I did the video. So I did a community post, and it mimics this video I did. I says the peoples whose names are already written in the book of life will escape the tribulation according to Daniel 12. And then I just quoted Daniel 12. And at that time shall Michael arise, the great prince who has charge over your people, and there shall be a time of trouble, which is Strong's H6869, to Sarah, tribulation, distress, such as never been since that nation till that time. But at that time of tribulation, I added that, at that time, your people shall be delivered, and that's Strong's 4422, mallet, escape or be saved. And everyone who is able to escape the tribulation at that time, they're the ones who have the name already written in the book of life. So Daniel, his message clearly aligns with the message of Jesus 500 or 600 years later, where Jesus says this. He says, pray that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things. Now, Jesus doesn't say, pray that you may be accounted worthy to escape the tribulation. He just, these things that he described in in Luke 21. Now, Luke 21 describes these terrible signs in the sky. So I had a person comment here with this, and they said they disagreed with my assessment here, and I just want to show you what they said. I don't really want to give their name. He says this. He says, Jesus clearly states, after the tribulation of those days, you will see the sign of the Son of Man coming. Daniel says, delivered, not escape. He, Daniel, is speaking of the wrath, which is the bowl judgments at the very end of the 7 years. Now that's this gentleman's interpretation of it. I disagree, and I'll go show you why. And then he quotes Revelation 22, and he basically, I guess, is chiding me for, effectively changing the word of God or something like that, which is okay. I'm good with that. Now let's go to Daniel 12. Now, where I'm a little bit perturbed, I have to admit, I went to the trouble of putting this Hebrew word here, shall be delivered, and I put the Hebrew word, and it's a he, I'm sorry, I didn't really want to say who it was. He just said, Daniel is speaking of delivering, not escaping. And that's where I want to show how we got to go to the original Hebrew, and we got to be Bereans and look this stuff up, because he's wrong. It doesn't say that. So you go to I go to Bible Hub, you find Daniel 12:1, and you can see here, I'm going to just search on to see if anybody, so I just, here's it's like 30 translations here, English translations. You can see 7 of them use escape. So these learned PhD Bible guys, these Hebrew guys, they use the word escape in 7 of these. Even the Young's literal translation. Let's see what the Septuagint said. I love to go to the Septuagint. You click on additional. Let's see the Septuagint. Let's see here. And that nation till that time, at that time thy people shall be delivered. Everyone who's written the book. Okay, Septuagint said the same. So the Septuagint was translated into Greek 250 BC, and then we're translating that Greek into English now. So it sometimes has a slightly different English translation when it goes from the ancient Greek to the English. Okay, so let's go to the Hebrew words for Daniel 12:1. These are the Hebrew words, and at that time, you can see here it's written vertical. Let's see. Let's look for the word tribulation. There should be now time of trouble to Sarah. Let's just verify this means tribulation. Straight, distress. It also means tribulation here. Something right here, tribulation. So that's reasonable to think that is the tribulation, time of the tribulation that Jesus talks about. Immediately after the days of tribulation, then the Lord will have his sign in the sky. And then it says here, shall be delivered. This is the Strong's 4422. and this means to slip away in the Hebrew. But lo and behold, this is how you read this, guys. Let me just zoom in here to this. Okay, so this is the NASB translation. They're using this as an example. So you can see this word is used many times. Let me find out how many times it's used. It's used 95 times. So this word to escape or mallet is used 95 times in the Old Testament, okay, Hebrew. And 26 plus 25, that's 40, 50. The overwhelming majority of the times that this word is used, more than 50%, is for escape. So escape is really, it's really the word, rescued, delivered. So I go back to what was stated here. I mean, his comment. Let me go back there. He's calling me out for not, whatever, being a Berean, but it's okay. This is how we learn how to do this kind of stuff. And it's not. Escape is the correct word. It's a synonym. It's a synonym. So you can use escape. So, but what I really wanted to dive into was a concept that is really distressing. This Matthew 24, and I wish this wasn't the case, but this has caused so much confusion over the years for people to say this and to say that. So let me read it here. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from heaven. Now the stars falling from heaven only occur at one time in the Bible. We can look at that in a little bit. And the powers of the heaven will be shaken. Then they will appear this heaven, the sign of the Son of Man. Then all the tribes, you guys have all read this. This is not at the end of 7 years. I can state that emphatically. This is not at the end of 7 years. Why? Because the context clues state that it isn't. Period. If you read Revelation 19 is Jesus coming back to the earth after the 7 years to go and arrest the false prophet and the beast and throw them alive into the lake of fire. In Revelation 19, Jesus does not kill the beast. He kills the beast at the beginning of the 7 years, sends him to the pit of hell, and then he rises up out of the pit of hell sometime later to kill the two witnesses. So in Revelation 19, there is no mention of stars falling, sun being darkened. Go to the book of Revelation, chapter 19, and see if it says anything about the sun being darkened, the moon will not give its light. All it says is that Jesus is riding back to earth on a white horse, and his bride is following behind him on white horses. So in Revelation 19, he's coming to take back the earth where he gave it to the beast and the beast system for 7 years, and he's taking back the earth at the end of the 7 years, and his bride is coming with him. At the beginning of the 7 years, or at the beginning of the seal events, Jesus comes to gather his bride on a white horse, Revelation 6. That's the difference. It's not here. Sorry, guys. Nope, it's not here. So I don't have that in front of me. I was going to show that to you. So the point here is, let me go to a short little Bible study I have here. It's right here. Okay. So when we look at the words of Jesus, Matthew 24, Mark 13, it speak about this thing. It says, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light. So let's look at this. So according to Jesus, these events will occur after the tribulation, before he comes on the clouds. Jesus, the words of Jesus, the sun darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will be falling, the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Now, do these 4 events appear in that order anywhere else in the Bible? And the answer is emphatically, yes, they do. It's the 6th seal. And it's the 6th seal. So here's I made a quick document here. 7 seals, seal 1. So this is when Jesus comes to gather his bride on a white horse, Revelation 6, verse 2, and to conquer the earth, to conquer. It's not what people think. And then at the 6th seal, we see that there's a great earthquake. The sun will become darkened. The moon will not give its light. The stars, they're here. The stars will fall. And the sky will roll up like a scroll. It'll be shaken. Have you ever taken a blind and pull all the way down to the bottom and just let it go, and it flips up and it shakes the whole cylindrical thing of the blind? That's what's going to happen to the sky. The powers of the heavens will be shaken. So the 6th seal language is the same as Matthew 24 language. So let me go back to my document here. So according to John's vision at Revelation 6, these are the events of the sixth seal. So you can see these four events, they don't line perfectly with what Jesus said, but they align in theory with what Jesus said. Sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from heaven. Stars fall one time in the Bible, nowhere else, the sixth seal. And the skies, the heavens will be vanished and roll up like a scroll. So let me rewrite the words of Jesus. I'm going to rewrite his words. And I'm doing it with just looking up what the words actually mean. So let me zoom into this. Let me say this again. So immediately after the tribulation, immediately after the first 5 seals of those days, the sixth seal, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. So let me make it real simple here. Immediately after the seals 1 through 5, that's the tribulation, the sixth seal will occur. Well, that's the Great Tribulation. Then will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn. So what I've just shown you here is something that it's just caused so much confusion. I'm surely this gentleman up here just wasn't aware of the sixth seal or the events of the sixth seal. But for me, it's pretty straightforward, and it makes more sense because there's nothing in Revelation 19. And he speaks about these days. He says immediately after the tribulation of those days. He doesn't say immediately after the 7-year tribulation of those 42 months or 7 years or anything like that. I wanted to provide a sort of a rebuttal to that comment. Let me go back to this document. So in this document here, I think this is what I posted before. No, it's not. This is this is a document I've gone over before. It says how long and when is the tribulation, and this is the standard, what people say. This is 7-year tribulation period. There is a 7-year period, but it's not according to Jesus how he defines the tribulation. So even I will say 7-year tribulation at times, but technically that's not what it is. Let me show you another diagram I have. I've talked about it many. So this is how I would say Jesus defines the tribulation. Let me just explain this with some of my scribbling. Okay. So how I see this and how I see Scripture describes this is there is a time of Jacob's trouble that is prior to the 7 years. This is the tribulation and the Great Tribulation seals. This 300 or 430 days that Ezekiel calls out are the days of punishment. I was going to do a video on that too, and I probably will. But Daniel 7:12 refers to a time and a season. That time is 1 year and a few months, a time and a season. Ezekiel 4 refers to 430 days, a period. Isaiah 32 refers to a 1-year warning, a 1 year and a little more. It actually says 1 year and a few days before the woman goes into the wilderness. And then Isaiah 63 says that there is a year for the redeemed. So this 1 year and I'd say 390 days, this is the time leading up to the 7 years. This is what I would say is the tribulation period, where the seals and the trumpets occur. Because the beast does not begin to rule until Revelation 13, really Revelation 11, 12, and 13. And that's what's covered in this 7-year time, this Revelation 11, 12, and 13. And at the end, you got Jesus coming back at Revelation 19 with his bride, as opposed to Jesus coming in Revelation 6 for his bride. That's the difference. Okay. Guys, I'm going to talk about in another video here these days, and I'm going to do some date setting, which can get everybody in trouble. So with that, guys, I'll let you go. Please download. Let's see, do I have a document to download? I don't think I do. I'll put this document up here. You guys can download this document about the tribulation and how I, from Scripture, am able to define the tribulation using the words of Jesus, not the words of man. This has confused us Okay? So according to Jesus, these events after the tribulation and before he comes is the sixth seal. And so after the sixth seal, here, let me go to the Bible real quick. I know I'm digressing here. Revelation. So here's what I would state is these first 5 seals, based upon the words of Jesus, this is the tribulation. So immediately after the tribulation, seals 1 through 5 of those days, then the 6th seal will occur. So immediately after the tribulation, then this, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from heaven. Same what it says right here. The stars will fall. Let me just show you here. If you type in stars fall, it's in 2 places here. Well, here, Matthew 24, Mark 13. You got to go fell. Here, stars fell. Stars fell, Revelation 6:13. Stars fall. Matthew 24, Mark 13. This is a one-time event. Now, we see a picture of this in an overview in Revelation 12 of the stars falling. Is it fell? It's when this second sign occurs. He swept his tail, and 1/3 of the stars of heaven cast down there. That, I would say, is the 6th seal. Okay. But you don't see the stars falling in Revelation 7. So the Great Tribulation, this will explain the confusion of Revelation 7 coming after Revelation 6. Let me just go back real quick. Revelation 6, at the end we have the 6th seal. This is Matthew 24, 29 to 31. This is when Jesus he's coming back to the earth to wreak havoc. You go to Revelation 7, you have these guys being sealed on the earth. The Revelation 744,000 on the earth. And then you have this gathering at the throne in heaven. And these people have come out of the Great Tribulation. They've come out of the 6th seal, which is the Great Tribulation. Okay? So the pre-tribulation rapture is Revelation, the 1st seal, when Jesus comes to conquer. Now, I'm going to show you something real quick to bolster that argument. Revelation 6, at the 6th seal, is the Great Tribulation. So immediately after the first 5 seals, the tribulation, then the 6th seal, the Great Tribulation. Then we get the guys sealed on the earth, and then we have a reunion gathering in Mount Zion where these guys have palms, and these are the people that came out of, this is the first fruits gathering, out of the seals tribulation. And then we go into Revelation 8 where we have the trumpet judgments, where this is horrific what's going on here. The entire earth is burned up. The grass is all burned up. 1/3 of the trees are destroyed. Then we got Revelation 9. Here we got these guys come out of the bottomless pit. So at the 6th seal, all the bad guys were sent to the pit, the bottomless pit. And then this angel, who I say is Satan, he comes and lets them all out to begin the 7 years, like I show in this. The beast is resurrected out of the pit of hell at the beginning of the 7 years, and the whole world will marvel after him. The whole world's going to marvel after the beast after he comes up out of the pit of hell and his head wound is healed. That's what allows him to be this special beast guy. That's what happens in Revelation 9. Revelation 10 is when John is told he's going to be one of the witnesses. John's told, you must prophesy again to many peoples and nations. John will be one of the 2 witnesses. Revelation 11, you got the 2 witnesses witnessing for 1260 days at the beginning of the 7 years. That's why I have them here. The 2 witnesses witness at the beginning of the 1260 days. At the same time, the lukewarm church, is in the wilderness for 1260 days. 1260 days, 1260 days. That's why we can put that on the left side of this abomination that's going to occur at the middle. just taking you to a quick tour through Revelation. Then you get to Revelation 12. You sort of have an overview of the whole thing. The 1260 for the first woman. Then you got the fallen angels falling out of the sky. Then you got the times, time and a half, second times, time and half a time for the lukewarm Jewish woman. This is the lukewarm Jewish woman. That this woman goes into the wilderness for a times, time and half a time after the abomination. Because at the beginning of the 7 years, this Jewish woman was thinking that this beast was a wonderful guy because he gave them the new third temple. And then they were happy and lucky, happy-go-lucky the whole time through this first phase, while the Christian woman was in the wilderness. The Jewish woman, she was thinking everything was hunky-dory with the temple. And then all of a sudden, the abomination, this beast shows his true colors. He bursts down to the temple and proclaims himself to be God. And then the Jewish woman has to go into the wilderness for a times, time and half a time. And then the beast, he rules the world for 42 months. And then Jesus shows up. Okay. That's my quick overview of Revelation. But if I go to Revelation 19, this is where he comes in glory. I'm going to search for dark. There's no word. Dark's not there. Moon. There's nothing about Revelation 19 that has anything to do with Matthew 24, verse 29 to 31. And you can see that when in Revelation 19, Jesus comes back, the beast and the false prophet are captured, and they're thrown into the lake of fire alive. Jesus does not kill the beast here. He kills the beast at the gathering of the saints, as it says in 2 Thessalonians 2. This has confused me for years. See, and the lawless one will be revealed at the gathering of the saints before the 7 years, and then the Lord Jesus will kill him with the breath of his mouth and bring to nothing by the appearance of the brightness of Jesus' coming. So Jesus is going to do exactly what he says he's going to do from Matthew 13, verse 30, when he speaks about the parable of the weeds. He says, let them grow together until the harvest, the end-time harvest. Then I will tell the weepers, gather the weeds first and bind them in the bundles to be burned. These guys are burned in the beginning, not the end. They go down to the pit of hell, and then the angel comes with the key to the shaft of the abyss and lets them all up again, which is Revelation 9. Now, let's go to Revelation, I know I'm jumping around here, guys. Revelation 6. I mentioned this in my previous video about Jesus is the rider on a white horse. And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and its rider had a bow, Habakkuk 3 bow, and a crown was given to him. He came out to conquering to conquer. So when are the little ones going to be taken? Well, I stumbled across this verse the other day. Let's go to Micah. I've talked about this many times. Micah 1. We get down to Micah 1. Micah 1 has never been fulfilled in times past. This is Jesus coming to wreak havoc on Judah and Samaria, the Jews and the Christians. Okay, and he's doing all of this because, let's see here. Jesus is coming out of his place to tread the high places of the earth. The earth's going to melt under him. It says here, your wound is incurable. That's Hosea 5. He's doing this for the transgressions of Jacob, he says somewhere in here. So, yeah. He's coming to wreak havoc on the earth because his own people have sinned. All of this is for the transgressions of Jacob, not just the Jews and the Christians. The house of Israel is the Christian church. The house of Judah are the Jews. Okay, so let's get down here to the end. I will again bring, this is the Lord speaking, God, I will again, second time, bring a conqueror to you. Okay, and he give the inhabitants of this town, I can't pronounce, the glory of Israel. So whoever this conqueror that is coming upon the earth is the glory of Israel, that would be Jesus. Okay? And then he goes into this tirade about verse 16. Make yourselves bald, cut off your hair, for the children of your delight. Make yourselves bald as an eagle, for they shall go from you. Now, this exile, I'm going to quickly show you how this exile, this word in exile, is not in the Hebrew. The English translators, they force fit the English translation. They force fit the interpretation of Micah 1 back to be when Judah was taken into exile into Babylon. They force it because they wrongly think that this was fulfilled in times past, because in times past Judah went into exile and the house of Israel went into exile and was scattered by the Assyrians. So they just assume that the children are being taken into exile. So let's go to the Bible and to the original language and let's see how wrong these people are. Bible Hub. Let's look in the Hebrew. There's no word exile in here. Like an eagle, for they must go into captivity from you. From you. It's not exile. This is from. Nothing about exile. The word exile is not in the Hebrew. I'm adamant about this because this is what causes people to be confused when they read the Bible. These guys who, it's not there. They screw everything up by assuming that it was fulfilled in times past, and it wasn't. I have a whole lot of energy on this. Let's go to the translations, and of course, you always have to fall back on the Young's literal translation to get it right. Make yourself bald, enlarge your baldness as an eagle, for they have removed from thee. No word of exile. Here, the World English Bible, captivity. That doesn't say captivity. There's none of that. All of these are mostly wrong. It's mind-boggling that these guys get this wrong. So what I like to do is I have a version that I combine. I'm sorry, guys. I combine the Young's literal with the New Living Translation, and it sounds. I think it's the best translation. Let me go find that real quick. Believe me, I'm not a Bible scholar, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at what's written here. Jesus comes. I have this document. You guys can download this. Here, Micah 1. Shave your heads in sorrow, for the children you love will be snatched away. That's what the NLT says. Make yourselves bald as a vulture, for your little ones have been removed from you. Young's literal. See, when you read this and all the other translations, they talk about captivity and exile, and it would confuse you because somebody would say, well, they went into exile back then, so that verse does not pertain to the modern time. Okay. All right, I've really gone over a lot of things here, guys. But the key to this is immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sixth seal will occur. That's the crux of this. With that, guys, I'll let you go. Have a great day, and God bless you.